Come in. Could you close the door? Thank you. Common courtesy. You may sit. Comfortable? Great. How are you? We'll start with that. You good? Great. That's nice. Have a nice Christmas. Well, I've heard you've had a nice Christmas. An exceptional Christmas. You and somebody else. Who was the other person? Huh. Could you guess who the other person is? Could you guess why I've called you in here? Yes. It's come to my attention that you are in somewhat of a serious romantic relationship with a peer. Now, before I delve into this topic, I'm going to ask you firsthand, are you dating a colleague? You are. Right. Well, that settles everything. Speculation over. The facts are stated. Have you read you've been here for such a long time now, I can't imagine it's still fresh on the mind, but the working handbook that we put together, the policies, in order to be a sophisticated and well-managed team member at this establishment. Briefly, well, may I refresh you? So, it's quite high up on the list. I believe it's number 4 or number 3. Little handbook here. I might get you another copy of these. Do you have one still? Might be useful to have another refresh of it. And then you'd know what you can and can't do, since you so seemingly like to forget. So here we are. So in the handbook it mentions at number 4 that no relationships whatsoever romantically should be formed between colleagues and peers, none between yourselves and none including the management, which means the management shouldn't date the management and shouldn't date the staff, the colleagues. Do you know why that's here in this book? Do you know why we have that policy? Well, I shall tell you, because there's no point in you guessing. We have this policy for the simple fact that it tends to show in statistics that the performance of a colleague's work or an employee's work somewhat deteriorates once they are romantically involved with someone in that same circumference, in that same profession, working together. There's a distraction. No, it's okay. You don't need to justify yourself. You've got all the time in the world to do that. You let me get the facts out the way first, okay? Because I have a feeling you're going to say something along the lines of it's not affected your work. You're still very competent. As competent as you can be, as you have been. Which if we're really going to of the facts is not the most competent anyone could be, is it? I mean, you have colleagues that are a lot more efficient. We'll get to that in a minute. You remember when I took you on here? Yes? Lovely interview. It was great. I saw a lot of promise. You were very fresh, out of university, very keen, and I said to myself, why not? Give them a chance. Do it. Almost a bit like charity work, really. So I did. Gave you a chance. And though you are very competent at your job, nobody's saying you're not. The promise, the fire, the burning desire, well, that somehow went up in smoke. Excuse the pun. But as I was saying, the reason this policy is in place is because there is a somewhat deterioration in performance. I've been looking recently at some of the paperwork that you've drawn up for the clients. Do you know what I found? Do you know what proofreading is? Proofreading. Could you tell me what proofreading is? Just give me a quick definition. So you do know. Okay, that's good. It's a good start. I have paperwork here with figures that don't add up. Why could that be? If we proofread, which you are so very capable of doing, as you can define it, why are we having issues with figures? Why are we 3.3% below where we should be in the figures? How can we get it so wrong mathematically? If we proofread. So I have your figures on one side. I have my figures that I have done through proofreading. And in the middle, I have where we're in or where we're out. So I've done a little chart to show how off your figures are this time. So with the deposit, I got 3.9%, and you got 2.5%. How is that? With the corporate bond, I got 3.4%, and again you got 2.5%. With the property, I got 5.9%, you got 2.9%. 2.9%, 5.9, 2.9. So you're seeing what I'm saying? No, you can, I'll give all this to you to look over, don't you worry. You'll be able to look it over when I'm done with it. I do hate to be mean. No, actually I don't enjoy being mean. I think it asserts and instills some kind of moral compass for people. But what I meant to say, rather, is that I don't like to be mean during Christmas. I don't. It's a hard time for a lot of people. And as I know you, and have known you now for a couple of years, I know that for you Christmas can be quite difficult as well. think of the ones we loved and lost, and we may substitute those voids in our hearts for somebody to love that's here with us now. And I believe that's what you've done. Is it not? This little romance. I suppose you're wondering why it's just you here and not the other person. Well, let me tell you. Okay. Where are they? Because believe me, in any other circumstance, I'd have had you both here to justify yourselves. However, as I say, it is Christmas, or has been, and I'd probably normally leave it. Here we are, until the new year. So, here are their figures. For their deposit, with their client, they got 1.36%. And when I did it, do you know what I got? 1.36%. On commodity, they got 3.75%. When I did it, I got 3.75%. On corporate bond, they got 6.27%. When I did it, do you know what I got? 6.27%. Do you know what that means? That means that this little Christmas romance that we're all having isn't affecting their performance. Now I will approach them. I'll approach you separately, and I'll reprimand them and say, well, as I've said to you, we have a handbook. It's there in place for a reason. But I will also praise them on their ability to remain competent through the whole ordeal, because their figures are perfect. They are perfect. In fact, they're more than perfect. They are one of the best employees that I have here, that we have as a company, and we should share that responsibility of nurturing that person, of having them on that pedestal, of keeping them at that peak of career. Because the Lord knows that you seldom find people of that caliber. No offense. But yes, I just wanted to bring you here to talk to you about this, because we need to have it addressed. It needs to be sorted rather quickly, if you ask me. Because I can't let you leave that door and go back to your office and continue to absolutely butcher all the figures for clients that we have had here for 10, 15 years. Almost longer than I've been here. Do you want to know a little story? When I started here, I started quite young. Well, I'm still quite young, but I started very young. And I started at the bottom, the very, very bottom. And I worked my way up. I wasn't very good with math. I was good with a calculator. But I educated myself. Got private mathematics lessons. And, well, I got better. And you know where I am today? Of course you know where I am today. Because you're in my office. And you know how I got here today? Just take a guess. Go on, I'll let you take a guess. Do you want to know the answer? I listened to the handbook. Believe it or not, it actually works if you give it a chance. I did not commit to any in work relationships. I handed my work in on time. I proofread. We know what that is. We've clarified that. And thus my work was perfect. So what do we do from here? That's the question. Well, I applaud you for that little outburst of self-defense and assurance, and I do believe that when you leave here you will proofread and you will deliver, perform as expected, because so you should, after being reprimanded. But I do think that will decline. You'll develop a resentment towards me. You'll no longer feel willing to perform. You'll look for other positions in other corporate positions. So, that being said, taking that into consideration, I think it's time we agree to call it a day. Not only have you defied the handbook, which, as I've stated, is almost gospel, it's the foundation of which we are all built in this company, it's the foundation of which we are also good. We are all, should I say. Ours are all, because then there's you, who simply just overlooks it completely. So yes, I think it's maybe time we call it a day and finish on good terms. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you the option to hand in a month's notice, and that gives you time to look for another position, and it straightens things out. Couldn't say it. It's quite straightens things out. Bit of a tongue twister. No? You think? Anyway, never mind. Yes, I will give you the opportunity to hand in a month's notice. Should you choose not to do that, I have one other solution. We have, as you know, various offices, various departments. I could transfer you to another department. I'm not cruel, couldn't completely let you go, should you not want to go completely. Put the office there if you want to. And I can transfer you to another facility that will unfortunately be around 25 miles away from where we are. That's the closest I could get you. So there would be a little issue of commuting, or maybe moving away. Judging by your little holiday romance that you've been having, that would be a little bit of an inconvenience, wouldn't it? It's terrible, that, isn't it? When somebody else inconveniences you. Wouldn't know anything of that. Or would I? The third option, should you not hand your notice in and turn down the opportunity to commute and move to another facility, is I take you through the legal system for willingness to corrupt the figures of clients, for lack of competence, for not following the protocol, the handbook, and it would be messy, and it would tarnish you, and I wouldn't want to see that. Not in the new year, no. We want a nice new year, fresh start. Although if I could give a little bit of advice as a leaving gift, your New Year's resolution should be to follow the handbook. And within that, next time you're in another corporate position, proofread. Alright. Well, it's been a pleasure, and I applaud you for actually being here on time. But I'm going to leave you now to think about that. You get back to me by tomorrow morning, okay? You don't have to come here, you can just email, and that'll do. And I shall get back to you by the afternoon. Alright? You can go. Oh, no. You do not need to explain yourself. You don't. This wasn't an opportunity for you to explain yourself and justify your actions. There's no need. I've made up my mind. Now it's time for you to make up your mind. Okay? So you take all your thoughts and your justifications and you tell Penny outside. Just let her know and I'll have her fax it to me or email it to me or something. I'll take it into consideration, though it won't change my mind. It'll just change my opinion, maybe a little bit, about you. Anyway, thank you. Oh, and one more thing. Don't forget to close the door on the way out. It's common manners.